Hi and welcome to the Market Alert for Wednesday the 10th of May 2023. So yesterday bullion and black gold oil were bid higher. Regional banks skid ahead of today's CPI. I do not see any reason to cut interest rates this year is one comment that was made yesterday. Stocks lower ahead of CPI while debt limit talks remain in limbo. And again, US stocks declined ahead of US CPI data after hawkish central bank rhetoric. US stocks finished with mild losses, with participants cautious ahead of upcoming US inflation data and following a slew of central bank commentary, while debt ceiling talks provided very little progress. Yes, we've got that coming soon as well. So today, the main event, of course, is going to be the CPI, US CPI. This is out at 1:30 p.m. The forecast is to remain unchanged, but the month-on-month up slightly. So we'll just have to wait and see at 1:30. So we'll look at yesterday's market activity. The DAX outperformed everything yesterday, moving back to the upside, as opposed to the US market. So let's kick off with these and start with the Dow. So yesterday, as can be seen here, very narrow range. Like I said yesterday, the market's waiting for, or the US markets in particular, are waiting for the CPI number. So stuck in a sideways range yesterday for the Dow. There you can see that we moved down. We traded down to the S1 and just below the 200 MA was trapped between the two areas there, and eventually we exploded to the upside as the Dow came on stream. You can see there, just exploded to the upside, and that was it. Moved up, did an 89% retracement, and then just traded in a range, and that range has continued overnight. It needs to remain above the close and the DP if it's intending to move higher. Closing below this, you may see a retest of the lows in the 200 MA. Very important support area there. You've got a confluence of three things, S1, low, and the 200 MA. So we'll keep an eye on that just in case we move to the downside. And in the German DAX, this trading down and then rallying all the way back, as can be seen here, but a bit of weakness overnight. Let me just expand this out a bit so we can see a bit more. So there you've got back above the 5-bar moving average, but slightly lower on the overnight. So yesterday, as I said in the alert, we've got this thing at the moment of selling off in the pre-market, sorry, not in the pre-market, when the cash opens, moving the market lower, finding consolidation at pivot areas or BRNs, and then bringing the market back, which you can see there. Overnight, the market sideways to lower. At the moment, it's approaching the 50 EMA in the 30-minute. Again, you've got the DP there. We'll need to find support there. Failure to do that, again, brings you down to the low and the 200 MA, where there would be support, which you can see where the market found it during yesterday's session. In the 5-minute chart, the one that mainly look at in the morning, you can see there, we were a bit choppy, and eventually we got the retracement up to the DP with the 200 MA there, and then we moved lower and we stopped at the averages and continued down until we found support before the market was then brought all the way back, as we saw in the afternoon with the Dow. That spike to the upside in the Dow was enough to trigger a 100-point move up in or just under 100 points in the German DAX there. So a good move yesterday afternoon, which is unusual, but certainly made progress there. And then overnight, you can see we're in a bit of a coil at the moment. We're trying to move lower, just breaking the BRN there, and we filled the gap there as well. So watch the DP and the 200 MA. That will be my main focus as we head on into the futures opening at 7 a.m. And yesterday's trades, 246.50, profit factor of 21.54, and that's because I had a very high hit rate, 89 versus 11 losers, so win-loss ratio very good yesterday. Back to the US, S&P also showing a bit of weakness sideways as well, below the 5-bar moving average, again treading water, waiting for the US CPI. Yesterday we moved down in the electronic session, and we more or less remained there. Very quiet day, and overnight the range is just as narrow, and we're sitting on the close at the moment. Taking this out, we'll see a retest of the low of yesterday. In the FTSE 100, also down day there, as the market struggled to return back to the upside. Just expand that out a bit as well so you can see it. So we closed below the 5 bar and the 50 yesterday. Market sideways overnight. There's your sell-off in the FTSE 100, eventually picking up some support when the US came on stream. So a bit of weakness around in the FTSE 100. Staying above the DP will be important. At the moment it's struggling, and also the close struggling. So watch the low and the S1 in this market. Moving over to the currencies, GBP USD. We've got the market stuck in a sideways range as well. As I said yesterday, the market, when you're waiting for like non-farm payrolls, CPI, that sort of thing, it will tread water. 30-minute chart, we had a bit of a move to the upside. Again, we moved up, we came back, we found support at the S1, the BRN with demand oversold, and then we moved the market to the upside. At the moment we're sitting just above the high, holding support at the close, where the market's come off many times, which we can see there at the moment. In the pound, sideways to higher, dollar down a bit yesterday, and in the 30-minute charts we moved up, we then moved down, we then bounced, found resistance at the averages and also the low of Friday, and then moved down to the S2. Tried to find support at the 200 MA there with some demand, but the market needed a second lot of testing at the S2. We see that crossover and we move back to the upside. Overnight the market has traded down to the DP, and at the DP is also the 200 MA, so an important area of support for this market. US dollar, as I said yesterday, this moving higher, obviously on the basis that inflation is going to be bad and rates will have to increase, which is obviously strengthens the dollar. Up a bit on the overnight there as well. So this is obviously going to have impacted on the metals market. So let's have a look at those. And starting off with silver, we managed to move up with the dollar yesterday, but overnight a bit of weakness around, still stuck in that sideways range, and above 25.50 at the moment, but getting perilously close to this. It's got to stay above the DP. Again, it doesn't really matter because it's going to wait until those CPI numbers. Up yesterday, down double bottom, and then we moved up to the 200 MA, back to the S1, back up to the R1 200 MA, back to the DP, back up to yesterday's high, and now back down to the DP there. So again, you can see how the pivot points, BRNs and averages create trading areas and profit targets, buy targets for these markets. Gold also up yesterday along with the dollar, which is unusual, but overnight is moving down, as can be seen there. But yesterday again we came down to the DP, we moved up through the high, we couldn't hold, became overbought. The market then came back to the high with selling, and as soon as the selling came in, we brought the market back down, as can be seen there, a good 78% retracement, and the market sideways. It then went back up to the high, came back down to the BRN, and of course this too is a 78-89% retracement, just as down and back up to there is a 62% retracement. Combined with all those other factors, we then moved up off this, we got through the high with driving through, this became support, we traded up to the R2 where the market then moved sideways to lower. Overnight we retested the high, and then we've started to see some selling. It was okay at the DP, but the weakness has continued, so expect any opportunity to hammer the gold price down at the moment so the central banks can buy more is being seized. And finally, we've got the gold-silver ratio, market up as silver showing a bit more weakness than gold there. Okay, that will do it for this one. Like I say, all eyes on the CPI numbers at 1:30 later today. So with that, let's see what happens. And as ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.